I remember being proud of myself for going 7 days without drinking and thinking that's the biggest achievement that I've had in years. I don't know, there's like just some specific moments I really remember where I would just hold it in for so long, and then it was just like, it would just pour out of me, you know. I'd be laying on the couch and just feel so numb and just tears leaking down my face, and like that just doesn't happen anymore, you know. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. What's up? It's just me today, solo episode. Yeah, we're gonna get into some shit today. The alcohol-free movement seems to be growing. I seem to be getting a lot more texts. I seem to be getting a lot more DMs about the alcohol-free movement and people being interested in it. And I think it's awesome. You know, it's done a lot for my life. If I could casually drink, I would love that, but I can't. There's just not a bone in my body that wants to have 2 glasses of wine and cut it off. And if I could do that, I would drink. But I probably wouldn't love it as much either, you know, right? Like, it's kind of I don't know, it's funny to think about that. But yeah, if you can drink normally, that's awesome. Keep doing it. I'm not necessarily talking to you, but maybe you'll still find it interesting. I'm more so talking to the people that drink Friday, Saturday, and then they feel like shit Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And then Wednesday they finally feel normal again, or the people that drink every night and feel like shit. The people that are drinking when they don't want to be drinking. That's one of the things that I used to do that always really confused me, is I would be drinking when I didn't want to drink. And you might be like, well, why would you do that, right? Like, why would you drink when you don't want to drink? But it's a strange feeling, because it's almost like every part of your body is begging you to drink except for your higher conscious. That's kind of like the only part that doesn't want to drink. Your brain wants to drink, your body wants to drink. You know that the second you drink again, you're going to feel okay, which is a very, you know, that in the moment that feels like a good reason to drink. But that's just like a really weird spot to be in, when you feel like you don't want to drink, but everything in you is telling you to drink. And that's where I was at the last really year or two of my drinking. And that's when I think a lot of people realize that they need to quit drinking, because they're like, why in the world would I be drinking? I don't want to drink. I'm not enjoying it. It's not making me feel euphoric the way it used to. It's more so just making that voice go away in my head that's telling me all day to drink. It's the best way I've heard it described is like alcohol works until it doesn't. And I think that's really true, because none of us would really use alcohol if it didn't do something for us initially. As much as I don't care for alcohol anymore, I also think that there was a point in my life where it did something for me. It did reduce my anxiety. It did make me more open to having conversations with strangers. It did make me feel less bored at night. It did make me feel okay with some of my problems. And it worked until it didn't. And that's okay. Like, sometimes, going back to like seasons of life, sometimes something's going to work for a while and then it's not. And we have to be grown-ups and decide what's serving us in life and what's not serving us in life. And if something's not serving us in life, whether that be alcohol, weed, people, jobs, whatever that might be, you have to take some responsibility and do an audit of your life and decide, do you have a spot in my life? Or are you more so something that is a liability in my life? I have to worry about you. I have to worry about how you're going to affect me. Again, this could be work, job, relationship, alcohol. Like, this is a broader thing. But, you know, I remember one time, like, this is such a vivid moment for me. It's kind of like freaky to think about. You know, I definitely remember a time when I was very, very, very hungover, and I felt, you know, it was like a Wednesday morning, and it didn't feel good. It didn't feel good at all. And I was driving, and I passed a church, and the church had a sign on it that said Alcoholics Anonymous, open tonight. And I never thought once that I was an alcoholic. I had drank every day for 8 years, and I never once had the thought that I was an alcoholic. Not once. And that might sound crazy, but I'm being dead ass serious. I never once thought it. And I saw that sign, and I felt like shit, and I was just like, damn, what would it be like to not feel owned by this substance? And I kind of had the thought of like, am I an alcoholic? Because in my head, an alcoholic was someone that lived under a bridge, someone that couldn't hold a job, someone that, you know, sat outside of a gas station with a brown paper bag. That's what an alcoholic was. It wasn't someone that drank a bottle of wine and a beer every night and woke up and took their dog for a walk and went to work and had friends and even a podcast on the side. Like, in my mind, I couldn't do all those things if I was an alcoholic, so it never even crossed my mind that that would be the case. So when I had that thought for the first time driving by that church, and it was in Topeka, Kansas, and I was like, is there a chance that I'm an alcoholic? And I was like, surely not. So I actually went to the podcast app and I typed in alcohol free, because I was like, I'm not going to type in alcoholic. I'm not going to type in sobriety. I'll type in like alcohol free. And this podcast popped up called Recovery Elevator. And I was like, recovery? I'm definitely like, that's intense, but I'll listen to these people's stories, like see how fucked up they are or whatever. You know, that was kind of the thought process. And then for the next about 8 hours, I listened to this one podcast on, you know, just one episode after another, just kind of like binged through this single podcast. And it was really, really eye-opening, because on this podcast, there were lawyers, there were doctors, there were salesmen, there were accountants, there were HR professionals, there were any walk of life that you could imagine, they were on there. And the reason that it was so shocking to me is because they all said the exact same thing that I had thought and felt. And they were like, I didn't think I was an alcoholic because I had a good job and a wife and kids and friends. I didn't think I was an alcoholic because I have a 401k and I'm very clean and I wash my car every Friday and blah, blah, blah. Like, they were all just spilling all these thoughts that I had had for the past 10 years. And then I got to hear the flip side of them talking, which was, I'm so thankful to wake up every day. I'm so happy to experience the small things in life. I went 10 years without smiling when I came home from work and my dog gave me like the best greeting in the world. Like, one thing that I don't think people understand when addiction is full force is that your mind's really only on one thing. And that doesn't mean you can't focus on other shit. You can 100% focus on other shit temporarily, but you're more so working chipping away to get to that one thing at the end of the day, which is, in my case, drinking. And when I heard these other people tell their stories, it just really resonated because I was like, fuck, a lot of people are feeling this way. And it just made me feel hope. And it almost just made me feel like there was a fix, right? Because you have to think, I didn't think I was an alcoholic. I didn't realize that drinking is why I had anxiety. And I mean that in the truest way. Like, in my mind, I had anxiety, and drinking is how I fixed my anxiety. I had no clue because there wasn't these the podcast world is somewhat new, right? There wasn't these podcasts that were telling you, hey, there's a lot of data to show alcohol causes anxiety. So in my mind, I have anxiety and I drink to make it go away, when actually I kind of had it 180. Like it was the wrong way. Actually, I drank and then I had anxiety. And you know, I'm starting to hear all these stories on the podcast, and I'm like, fuck, like, this all just makes so much sense. And that's when I first started to explore sobriety, and it took me 2 years to quit drinking. It took me 2 years to quit drinking. And I look back at that time, and it's, you know, I'm proud of myself. I really am. I'm proud of myself because I was 27. I was 27, and, you know, everyone's drinking around me, and, and I just decided I didn't want to do that anymore. And, you know, it wasn't easy. I mean, obviously it took 2 years of me trying. And it's just crazy for me to look back and think I remember being proud of myself for going 7 days without drinking and thinking that's the biggest achievement that I've had in years, is going 7 days without drinking, and how good I felt. And, you know, texting my friends and letting them know, and kind of feeling silly about it, but also feeling really proud. And then I'd fall off the wagon, you know, then I'd drink every night for a month again, and then I'd get another week under my belt. But I always knew that's the sobriety was kind of my ticket. It was pretty easy for me to understand, there was a direct correlation between me achieving what I wanted to achieve or feel like I wanted to feel, and then me not doing that. And I understand a lot of people listening probably never knew me when I drank. And then a lot of my friends that did know me when I drank, they didn't realize how bad it was, because I could pull it together. And I would go to the party and not really drink before. And then when I would leave early and go home and finish it off, you know, that's when I would really get after it. So a lot of my close friends, they knew I drank a lot, in the sense of damn, Blaze's having beers tonight again or whatever. But they really didn't know how bad it was. And I don't know, 5 minutes ago, I got a little emotional, thinking about it, because I do remember waking up and just crying and just being sad, you know, a little hopeless, a little sad, numb. I felt numb a lot. I just didn't feel good. I really didn't feel good. And now that I feel the way that I do now, it makes it almost more emotional because I know how good I can feel. And I like look back at younger me, and I just like feel for him, you know? I feel for him. I feel for the way that he thought he had to be. Like, and what I mean by that is because I had such low confidence, I felt that I needed to portray something else. Like I needed to portray having confidence, and I didn't really know how to do that. So, you know, I would do it in ways that, you know, I'm probably not proud of now. And I don't know, there's like just some specific moments I really remember where I would just hold it in for so long, and then it was just like, it would just pour out of me, you know? I'd be laying on the couch and just feel so numb and just tears leaking down my face, and like that just doesn't happen anymore, you know? And that doesn't mean I don't feel sad anymore. That doesn't mean I don't feel any of that. It just means that I'm very in touch with my emotions now, and I can understand them, and I know how to handle them. And that's kind of an interesting point as well, because when you first get sober, there's like a really big part of you that is almost like immature with your emotions because you haven't felt them in so long. So it's almost like being a kid with emotions, strong emotions. And it's like, you don't really know how to handle feeling anger or excitement or heartbreak or because you just like lack the experience of having emotion in your adult life. So you just kind of have like these immature responses. I don't know. That's kind of funny to think about, but yeah, that's, I guess where I was going with that is I'm just like happy to see people pursuing, or at least like considering, an alcohol-free life. Like no one has to do anything, right? But I think we could all even quit coffee for 30 days and see how we feel. We could quit alcohol for 30 days and see how we feel. We could quit, I don't know, fucking quit whatever you want to quit. But I you know, there probably is a lot of value in exploring something that we feel we may have a problem with, or, you know, we're not feeling the best from. So, all right, I'm going to cut it there. But I appreciate you listening, and yeah, I hope you all have a good week. Peace.
God damn, it's blazing.
Give yourself credit for what you have done.
Accept who you are. I mean, that's something that's effortless.
Doesn't mean I can't start today.
Blazing, it's your time.